Malik adjusts his tie in front of the mirror, his movements sharp and precise. His suit is perfectly tailored, his posture upright and commanding. Everything about him is calculated, but there's an edge to it. He's ready. Tonight has to be perfect. The suit, the tie, the way I move, everything is designed to make them see me, to make them want me. Tonight is about power, wealth, influence. I'm the one they all wish they could be. But even perfection comes with a price. Yolanda sits quietly in the living room, her black dress, simple but elegant. She reads a book, her attention briefly shifting to Malik's movements. She watches, waiting, but her expression doesn't change. She doesn't understand. She's always been the one to stay in the background. My wife, perfect for the home, perfect for the private life we built. But not for the world I need to enter tonight. I need someone who can move through this crowd, who can command attention without saying a word. Yolanda's not that woman. Malik steps into the room, adjusting his cufflinks, exuding confidence. He looks at Yolanda with a cold smile. Are you coming to the gala tonight, Yolanda? Yolanda looks up from her book, a soft, knowing smile on her face, but her eyes show concern. Of course, dear, but will you be late again? Malik's gaze shifts to his phone resting on the table. A message from Sierra appears. Looking forward to tonight. He forces a smile, then quickly looks away. His mind is already focused elsewhere. She doesn't get it? This night isn't about us, it's about what I can prove. She's not ready for this world. Not tonight. Malik stands, his voice calm but distant. I don't think you'll be able to join me tonight, Yolanda. The event is exclusive. It's just not the place for someone like you. Sometimes appearances matter more than anything else. Yolanda doesn't flinch. She stands slowly, walks past Malik without a word, her steps graceful, but there's an undeniable strength in her movements now. Malik watches her, his gaze lingering, for a moment longer than it should. She's always been this Wakeham composed. But tonight, I'm leaving her behind. She doesn't fit in this world. Not anymore. Yolanda pauses for a brief moment, her back turned to him. She's already made a decision, but she hasn't fully realized it yet. The weight of the moment is subtle, but it's there. I've spent years supporting him, following him, but tonight, something shifts. I feel it. I don't need him to define who I am anymore. Tonight, I'm choosing for myself. Malik leaves, stepping into the night with a sense of finality. His mind is still consumed by Sierra and what the night holds. But Yolanda's presence lingers in the background, a quiet force he hasn't fully acknowledged yet. I won't look back. I can't. Not when she's waiting for me. This night is about power. About me. I will be the one they all look at. The one they want to be. Yolanda stands by the window, her eyes watching Malik leave. She doesn't feel anger, but a quiet certainty. This is the beginning of something else. I'm done living in the shadows. Tonight, I'm making my own way. Malik drives toward the event, his mind already shifting to the success that awaits him. He reads Sierra's message again, a slight smirk on his face. Tonight is mine. I won't just be admired. I'll be worshipped. Nothing or no one will stand in my way. The scene fades as Malik drives off, leaving Yolanda's quiet strength behind. Her path, now her own. Yolanda stands still for a moment after Malik leaves, her eyes following him as he disappears into the night. The house feels emptier now, even though she's alone in it. The silence is heavy, but it's familiar. She's always been the one to stay behind, supporting him, waiting for the moments when he'd need her. But tonight something feels different. She walks slowly to the window, the night outside. Stark and still, the city lights flicker, but inside, a sense of clarity is starting to settle within her. For years, she's been caught in the background, playing the part of the perfect wife. The one who never questions, who never demands. But tonight, she realizes how much she's sacrificed without ever truly asking for more. I've spent years, in his shadow, pretending to be content with the life he's built for us. But it's never been enough for me. It's always been his world, his ambitions, his success. What about mine? What about me? The thought stings, but it also liberates her. Yolanda looks at her reflection in the window, seeing herself for the first time in a way she hasn't before. There's power in her silence, in the way she's carried herself all these years. But that silence is no longer enough. She moves to her desk, gathering papers, looking for something to distract her. But instead, her hand brushes against the invitation that arrived earlier today, a sleek, understated envelope. It's a private gala invitation from Donovan, someone she's worked with quietly behind the scenes, a man who saw something in her before Malik ever did. She picks it up, holding it between her fingers, studying the elegant lettering. Donovan had been the one to recognize her work, her efforts in the charity world. He had been the one to see her for what she truly was, not just as the wife of someone important, but as an individual with her own worth. The invitation feels different, heavier than just a piece of paper. It feels like a door opening, a way out of the life she's lived for so long. I can't keep waiting for permission. I can't keep fading into the background. Tonight, I go for myself. She changes into a simple, elegant dress, one she's kept for special occasions, one that's been hidden in the back of her closet for too long. It's not bold, but it feels like the most authentic version of herself. She doesn't need to make a statement, she just needs to show up. As she leaves the house, she doesn't look back. Malik is gone, and she's not sure when he'll return, but it no longer matters. This night is about her, not him. The streets are quiet, the cool air brushing her skin as she walks to her car. She drives toward the event, her thoughts calm, but the excitement inside her is undeniable. For the first time in a long time, Yolanda feels like she's moving toward something that belongs to her. She's not just following, she's leading. The gala is being held at an upscale venue. The kind of place where the elite gather, and where the lines between power and money blur. Yolanda steps out of the car, the weight of the moment settling. And she doesn't feel nervous, she feels alive. Inside, the atmosphere is refined, almost oppressive with its elegance. People are scattered in small groups, discussing business deals, the latest trends, and everything in between. Yolanda doesn't need to speak loudly to be noticed. She moves through the crowd with quiet grace, and that's enough. She's not here to impress anyone, she's here for herself, to prove that she belongs in this world. Donovan spots her from across the room and makes his way over with a genuine smile. He's one of the few who truly appreciates her work, who sees her potential. Yolanda, it's so good to see you here, he says warmly, taking her hand. I'm glad you could make it. Yolanda smiles, the calm confidence she's carried with her all evening radiating from her. Thank you for the invitation, Donovan, she replies. It's good to be here. They talk briefly about the charity work she's been involved with, and Yolanda can sense the respect in Donovan's voice, the way he listens to her words. This is what she's been missing, the validation that has always been reserved for others. But here, in this moment, she realizes she doesn't need anyone's approval to feel important. She already knows her worth. As the evening progresses, Yolanda mingles with other guests, speaking with ease, her presence growing stronger in the room. She doesn't try to stand out. She just lets herself be. And in doing so, she commands attention without even trying. Meanwhile, Malik is somewhere in the crowd, unaware of Yolanda's transformation. His focus is on Sierra, the woman he believes will help him climb higher, but even as he smiles, laughs, and enjoys the night, there's a growing discomfort inside him, a sense that something is slipping from his grasp. He doesn't see it yet, but Yolanda is already making her own path, one that no longer depends on him. The evening progresses, the hum of conversation filling the air as glasses clink and laughter echoes off the grand chandeliers. Yolanda continues to move through the room with quiet confidence. She speaks with ease, effortlessly commanding the respect of the people she talks to. Her presence is subtle, yet undeniable. She isn't trying to compete with anyone, yet everyone around her seems to take notice. Malik is across the room, surrounded by businessmen and executives, his smile perfected, his posture immaculate. He stands tall, engaging in shallow conversation, his mind drifting. His attention, once entirely focused on Sierra, now flickers toward the corner of the room, where Yolanda stands. At first, he doesn't recognize her. She isn't the timid background presence he's grown used to. She's different now. Something about the way she carries herself commands his gaze, and for a moment, he feels a sharp pang of confusion, followed by a flicker of unease. Yolanda laughs gently at something. One of the businessmen says. Her voice is calm, yet her words have a weight to them that makes the conversation around her pause for a second. She's holding court, not with grandeur, but with authenticity. Moloch's focus shifts. He can't help but stare. This is not the woman he left at home. His hand tightens around his drink as he watches her, noting how people listen to her, respect her. She isn't just the wife in the corner. She is now a presence in this room, commanding the attention of others in a way that no one in his circle expects. Sierra notices the shift in Moloch's demeanor. She turns to him, a smirk on her lips as she sees the tension in his eyes. Who's she? Sierra asks, her voice tinged with curiosity and, perhaps, a touch of superiority. Malik, trying to hide his discomfort, shrugs it off, forcing a smile. Just, my wife, he replies, his tone flat, though his eyes betray his unease. But Sierra is not fooled. She studies Yolanda for a moment longer, her sharp eyes taking in every detail. She doesn't look like just your wife, Sierra observes, her tone almost dismissive. She's holding her own out there. Malik's jaw tightens. He's irritated, but he doesn't want to show it. He wants to believe that it doesn't matter, that Yolanda's presence doesn't change anything, but deep down, he knows something is different now. Yolanda, meanwhile, doesn't notice Malik's growing discomfort. She's too focused on herself, on the conversations she's having, on the path she's carving out for herself. Donovan catches her eye again and walks over to her, clearly impressed by the way she's handled herself. Yolanda, Donovan says with a smile, I didn't realize you had such a knack for making connections. You've certainly made your mark tonight. Yolanda returns his smile, her eyes calm but strong. I suppose it's all about listening, she says, her voice steady. People talk, they want to be heard. It's not so difficult to connect when you know how to listen. Donovan nods, clearly admiring her poise. I think there's much more to you than I first realized. You're not just another charity worker. You've got a real understanding of this world. You could go far, Yolanda. Farther than you might think. The words settle inside her like a seed taking root. Yolanda has always been more than she appeared, and tonight, the world is finally seeing it. Meanwhile, Malik is watching the conversation from across the room, his stomach tightening. He doesn't like this. He doesn't like that others are starting to see Yolanda in a way he never did. She's not just the woman he married. She's a woman with her own power, her own presence, and it makes him uneasy. He tries to focus on Sierra, but his thoughts keep drifting back to Yolanda. He can't shake the image of her standing there, commanding attention without saying a word. The room, the people, even the air seems to change around her. It's as if she's finally taken control of her own story, and Malik is no longer the author. He doesn't see the shift coming. He doesn't see Yolanda stepping into her power, not because she wants revenge, but because she finally realized her worth. Yolanda catches Malik's gaze from across the room. Their eyes meet for just a moment, and in that instant, something passes between them. Malik's face tightens with discomfort, but Yolanda's expression is calm, composed, almost serene. She's not angry, she's not seeking confrontation. She's simply ... and Malik knows, in that moment, that everything has changed. As the evening unfolds, the gala continues to buzz with energy. Guests mingle, the air filled with chatter, the clinking of glasses, and the soft hum of background music. But for Malik, the night has taken on a different tone. He's trying to maintain his composure, but it's becoming increasingly difficult. His focus shifts back to Yolanda time and time again, unable to ignore the growing unease inside him. He catches sight of her again, this time talking with a group of high-profile business leaders. They're listening intently to her words, laughing at her jokes. She's effortlessly moving between the groups, never demanding attention, but receiving it all the same. It's not something he's used to. She's always been in the background, supporting him, making him the center of the world, but now, she's the one drawing people in. His grip on his drink tightens. This wasn't supposed to happen. This was his night, his moment to shine. But somehow, Yolanda is stealing the spotlight, and he doesn't know how to handle it. Sierra notices the change in Moloch's demeanor. Her eyes flicker between him and Yolanda, sensing his growing discomfort. She steps closer to him, leaning in with a soft, questioning tone. "Are you okay, darling?" she asks, her voice laced with concern, but also a hint of curiosity. She knows Malik too well, and the tension in his shoulders isn't lost on her. Malik forces a smile, trying to brush it off. Of course. Just a little distracted, that's all. Sierra doesn't buy it. She looks across the room, noticing Yolanda now standing with Donovan and a few other influential guests. Yolanda is holding herself with a grace and confidence that Malik never knew she had. For a moment, Sierra looks at him with a raised brow, her lips curling into a sly smile. "She's quite the surprise, isn't she?" Sierra says, her tone teasing but sharp. "I always thought you kept her on a leash, but tonight, it seems like she's running the show." Malik stiffens, the words biting deeper than he cares to admit. His eyes flick to Yolanda once again. He watches as she laughs with Donovan, her composure calm but powerful, effortlessly commanding the respect of the people around her. He can feel the tide shifting, and it's making him more uncomfortable with every passing second. He knows what he's supposed to do. He's supposed to keep the upper hand, maintain control, make sure everyone knows that he's the one who belongs in the center. But now, for the first time, he's questioning whether he's truly been in control all along. Yolanda, the woman he thought he knew, is stepping into a world he didn't realize she had the power to command. And it scares him. Yolanda, meanwhile, is unaware of the storm brewing in Moloch's mind. She's completely absorbed in the moment. Enjoying the night for what it is, she's free from the shadow she once lived in. No longer just Moloch's wife, she's becoming her own person, with her own worth. And for the first time, she's surrounded by people who see that. Donovan walks up to her again. His admiration for her clear. He smiles warmly as he joins her. "I have to say, Yolanda, you're making quite an impression tonight. There's more to you than anyone realizes. I think you're going to do great things, you know?" Yolanda smiles, a quiet, genuine smile. There's no pride in it, just a sense of peace. "I've always believed that everyone has something to offer," she says, her voice steady. "Sometimes it just takes a little time for people to notice." Donovan chuckles, impressed by her humility. "I'm glad I noticed you when I did." As the night wears on, Yolanda's presence only grows stronger. She speaks with more people, her conversations more natural, her confidence unwavering. The event, once dominated by Malik, has shifted. Yolanda has found her place, and it's not in his shadow. Across the room, Malik watches it all unfold. He's tried to focus on Sierra, but his thoughts keep drifting back to Yolanda. It's no longer just about his discomfort, it's about something deeper, something he doesn't want to admit. The realization is starting to settle in. Yolanda is no longer the woman he thought he could control. She's becoming someone he doesn't recognize, and that frightens him more than he's willing to admit. At the same time, Yolanda feels a sense of calm. She's no longer concerned with fitting into Moloch's world. She's found her own space in this room, in this life. She isn't seeking validation from anyone, not Malik, not Donovan, not anyone. She has nothing to prove. She's simply being. The night moves on, but for Malik, the world feels out of balance. He watches Yolanda, the woman who was once content to stay in the background, now standing on her own, commanding attention and respect in a way he's never seen before. His grip on his drink tightens again, but this time, it's not just about callous, it's about the power he's losing. For the first time, Malik doesn't feel like the center of the universe, and it's starting to sink in. Maybe he never was, as the evening unfolds. The once familiar surroundings of the gala begin to feel alien to Malik. The lavish decor, the familiar faces, nothing seems to matter anymore. He watches Yolanda from across the room, her effortless presence now commanding more attention than his own. The murmurs of conversation around him start to blend into the background as his thoughts become consumed with her. Yolanda moves gracefully between groups, laughing softly, speaking with people who, until tonight, would have never spared her. A second glance, she doesn't need to try to fit in anymore, she simply does. Her voice flows effortlessly, her posture calm and confident. She isn't here to prove anything, she simply belongs. Malik knows the game. He knows how to control a room, how to make sure the spotlight is always on him. But tonight, he can't seem to hold on to it, and he's starting to feel it, deep in his gut, a sense of loss. A realization he's been avoiding for too long. He tries to focus on Sierra, who's beside him, her laughter a little too sharp in the silence between them. He smiles at her, but it doesn't reach his eyes. Sierra notices the shift in him and leans in closer, trying to bring him back. "Malik," she says softly, "you've barely spoken a word to me tonight. Is everything okay?" Her voice is light, teasing, but there's a subtle edge of concern. Malik forces a smile, trying to push the unease down. "I'm fine," he says, his voice tight. "Just a little distracted, that's all." But Sierra, ever perceptive, doesn't let it go. "It's Yolanda, isn't it?" she says, almost matter-of-factly. "She's not the same woman, is she? She's out there holding her own, isn't she?" Malik stiffens, his fingers tightening around his glass. His thoughts flicker back to Yolanda, standing in the center of the room, speaking with ease. Respected by people who used to ignore her. It's not just that she's different, that she's more than he ever realized. "I don't know what's happening," Malik mutters, the words slipping out before he can stop them. "She's changed. She's not the woman I married." Sierra watches him, her eyes narrowing slightly, as if she's trying to understand what's going on in his mind. She knows this isn't just about the gala. This is something deeper. "Thought she'd always be in the background," Sierra says softly, almost as if testing the waters. "But maybe she's finally stepping into the person she was meant to be." Malik's jaw tightens. He knows Sierra is right, but he doesn't want to admit it. Yolanda, the woman who once faded quietly into the background, is no longer content to stay there. She's stepping forward, claiming her place in a world he once thought was his alone. And it stings. He looks back at Yolanda, who is now speaking. With a group of high-powered executives, her voice steady and confident. Donovan stands beside her, clearly impressed, his attention fully on her. The way people are looking at her, the way they respect her, it's everything Malik has wanted for himself. But it's her, not him, who is getting the attention tonight. The spotlight is no longer his, and the realization settles into his chest like a weight he can't shake off. Yolanda notices Malik's gaze from across the room. For a moment, their eyes meet, and there's no animosity in her expression, just calm assurance. She's not angry, she's not seeking validation, she's simply present, in control. Comfortable in a world that used to belong to Malik alone. But for Malik, it feels like a loss. Something he didn't expect to feel tonight. He spent so long chasing power, chasing admiration, thinking it would always be within his reach. But now, as he watches Yolanda move through the room with quiet strength, he understands, perhaps for the first time, that power isn't something you chase, it's something you claim. And Yolanda has claimed hers. As the night continues, Malik can't shake the feeling of being left behind. He tries to engage with Sierra, but his mind is elsewhere. His thoughts keep drifting to Yolanda, to her transformation, to the woman who no longer needs him to define who she is. Sierra notices the shift in his demeanor, her gaze following his line of sight to Yolanda. She narrows her eyes, then turns back to Malik. "Are you going to let her steal your thunder?" she asks, her voice sharp. "Are you just going to watch her take over?" Malik's lips tighten. He doesn't know how to respond. The truth is, he doesn't know what to do. Yolanda isn't just changing, she's outgrowing him. And for the first time he's unsure whether he can keep up. I don't know, he mutters, his voice distant, but something's different, and I don't like it. Sierra leans in, her voice soft but pointed. Then you'd better figure it out, Malik, because if you don't, you might find yourself standing alone. The weight of her words hits him harder than he expects. He watches Yolanda again, her laughter ringing out across the room, her presence commanding the attention of everyone around her. For the first time, Malik feels something he's never felt before, the possibility of losing everything he's worked for. As the night wears on, the gala's lavish decor and sparkling chandeliers become a blur to Malik. The laughter and chatter around him feel distant, as if they're happening in a world he no longer belongs to. His thoughts keep drifting back to Yolanda. Every time he looks at her, it's like seeing a stranger. She's no longer just his wife, she's someone with her own presence, her own power. And it's becoming impossible to ignore. Malik's hand tightens around his drink, his eyes watching Yolanda as she speaks with a group of well-known business leaders. She's effortlessly in control of the conversation, making points with ease, engaging with people in a way that draws respect. He can see it in their eyes, the way they look at her as if she belongs here just as much as anyone else. It stings. He's always been the one in the spotlight. He's always been the one everyone looks to, the one who commands attention. But tonight, the spotlight is no longer his, it's hers. And it's a shift he wasn't prepared for. Across the room, Sierra watches Malik, her gaze sharp as she takes in the situation. She sees the change in him, the unease that's starting to creep into his demeanor. He's no longer the confident man who entered this room. There's a vulnerability to him now, and she doesn't like it. You're quiet tonight, she says, her voice cool. What's going on with you? Malik turns to her, trying to regain his composure. He smiles, but it doesn't reach his eyes. Nothing, just thinking. Sierra raises an eyebrow, unconvinced. She follows his gaze, watching Yolanda from across the room. I see, she says softly, her voice laced with something almost imperceptible amusement, or perhaps something darker. You're not used to sharing the spotlight, are you, Malik? Doesn't answer. He wants to dismiss her, but the truth is, she's right. For the first time, he's not the one at the center of attention. For the first time, it's Yolanda. Sierra steps closer to him, her voice dropping low. If you don't do something about this, you're going to lose her, and not just to someone else. You're going to lose her to yourself. The words hit Malik like a slap in the face. He looks at Sierra, his gaze cold, but his mind is elsewhere. He knows she's right. The way Yolanda is moving through this world with ease, it's like she's already found her place. And it doesn't involve him. She doesn't need him to validate her anymore. She's standing tall on her own. He forces a smile, though it feels hollow. I'll handle it, he says. But he doesn't believe it himself. Sierra watches him for a moment longer, her eyes narrowing as she sizes him up. She doesn't need to say more. She knows Malik is unraveling, and she can't stand the sight of it, but she's too smart to make a scene. Meanwhile, Yolanda remains blissfully unaware of the storm brewing just across the room. She's engrossed in a conversation with one of the top executives in the room, her words flowing smoothly, her smile warm but confident. She feels the power shifting within her, but it's not about anyone else. It's about her. For the first time, she's not playing a supporting role. She's stepping into the lead. She doesn't need Malik's approval anymore. She doesn't need anyone's approval. She's carved out a space for herself in a world she used to only observe from the sidelines. And tonight, it's all hers. As she speaks with the group, Donovan watches her from across the room, clearly impressed. He steps over to her once the conversation dies down. I have to say, Donovan says, his voice full of admiration. You're something else, Yolanda. You've handled this night with such grace and confidence. I don't think I've met anyone like you before. Yolanda smiles, her eyes calm, but there's a sharpness there that Donovan notices. I've just learned to speak up when it matters, she replies. It's amazing how much power people give you when you stop hiding. Donovan laughs, nodding in agreement. I think you've got more power than you realize, Yolanda. And I'd love to see where it takes you. Yolanda looks at him, her smile softening. She's grateful for his support. But she knows something Donovan doesn't. She's already taken the first step toward her own future, one that doesn't need anyone else's approval. Her thoughts drift back to Malik for a brief moment. She hasn't forgotten the man she married, but she's no longer that woman. She's not the one waiting quietly at home. She's not the one who will stay in the background while someone else runs the show. Tonight, she's the one in control. And nothing is going to change that. She sees Malik again, standing across the room, his eyes fixed on her. The tension between them is palpable, but Yolanda doesn't flinch. She holds his gaze for a moment, not out of defiance, but out of understanding. This is it, the moment where everything changes. She's no longer the woman who would follow. She's the one leading now. The gala is in full swing, but for Malik, it's as if everything is happening in slow motion. The laughter, the music, the chatter, all of it is a blur. His mind keeps drifting back to Yolanda. She's the one who dominates his thoughts now. Not the event, not the deals, not the people he's supposed to impress. Every time he looks at her, she seems more distant, more out of reach. Yolanda, on the other hand, has fully embraced the night. Her presence has shifted the dynamic of the room. She's not just another guest. She's someone who commands attention, who speaks with authority, and yet still manages to remain graceful. She moves between groups effortlessly, and wherever she goes, the atmosphere changes. People listen to her now. They respect her, they value her. And Malik, he's standing at the edge of the room, watching it all unfold. He's no longer the center of attention. The world he's built, the empire he's constructed, now feels like a shell, empty and fragile. Yolanda has stepped into a place that used to belong to him, and he doesn't know how to get it back. Across the room, Yolanda catches his gaze once again. This time, there's no tension in her eyes, no anger, no regret, just calm assurance. She holds his gaze for a long moment before looking away, turning her focus back to the group around her. Malik feels a pang of something deep: regret, jealousy, fear, but most of all, loss. He can't deny it anymore. He's losing her. And it's not just that she's becoming more independent, that she doesn't need him the way she used to. She's flourishing without him, and it stings like a wound that won't heal. Sierra, sensing the shift in Malik, steps in beside him. Her presence, once a comforting distraction, now feels almost like an intrusion. She studies him for a moment, her sharp eyes taking in the way he's watching Yolanda. Malik, she says softly, her tone cool but knowing. You've got to do something about this. You can't let her just slip away. Malik's jaw tightens, but he doesn't answer right away. He watches Yolanda, who's now laughing with another group of guests, her voice light but confident. It's like a slap to the face. This is the woman he should have been seeing all along. The woman who doesn't need him to define her. The woman who's become everything he wanted to be. I don't know what to do anymore. Malik mutters, the words barely audible. She's different. I don't recognize her. Sierra gives him a pointed look, her gaze hardening as she takes in his vulnerability. She's not used to seeing him like this, weak, unsure, rattled. You never really saw her. Malik, she says, her voice sharp. You thought she was just your wife, just someone to fill a role, but she's always had more to offer. Now she's showing it. You're not the only one who can build something. She's doing it on her own. Malik's hand tightens around his glass again. He's furious, but more than that, he's terrified. Sierra's words cut deeper than he wants to admit, because he knows they're true. He never saw Yolanda for who she truly was. He thought he could keep her in his shadow, but now that shadow is gone. She's stepped into the light, and he's left in the dark. He turns to Sierra, his voice low and strained. I don't know how to fix this. Sierra looks at him with cold calculation, her lips curling into a slight smile. You'll figure it out, but if you wait too long, she'll be gone. You're losing her, Malik. And if you don't act soon, she won't be the woman who needs you anymore. Malik looks back at Yolanda, who's now engaged in a deep conversation with a powerful businessman. Her smile radiant, her demeanor confident, She's not looking for approval. She's not waiting for anyone to tell her she belongs here. She already knows she does. The realization hits Malik like a tidal wave. He's not just losing control of the night or the people around him. He's losing the one person who mattered most, Yolanda. And it's not because she's chosen someone else. It's because she no longer needs him to validate her for the first time. Malik understands that it's not about being in control. It's about letting go. And he's afraid that if he lets go now, there won't be anything left to hold on to. The night feels endless. Malik stands still, trapped in his thoughts, while Yolanda continues to shine, her confidence radiant. He realizes, with a sickening clarity, that he's the one who's been holding her back all this time, and now, she's free. The night wears on, but the shift in the air is undeniable. Malik can't seem to shake the sense of dread hanging over him. He's done everything he can to maintain his image, to hold on to the control he's always had, but the walls are closing in. The world that once belonged to him is slipping away, piece by piece, and he feels powerless to stop it. Yolanda, on the other hand, is glowing with newfound confidence. She's engaged in deep conversations with high-profile guests, her voice smooth and assured. She's no longer standing in Malik's shadow, she's standing tall, owning the space around her. And as much as Malik wants to deny it, he knows that tonight marks the point of no return. He watches her from across the room, her laughter filling the air as she speaks with ease to an influential entrepreneur. She's surrounded by people who see her not as his wife, but as a force in her own right. Malik's chest tightens with a mix of admiration and jealousy. This is the woman he always knew she could be, but never allowed her to become. He knows what he has to do. He can't let this go on any longer. He can't let her slip away without a fight. Sierra notices the change in him, her eyes tracking his gaze as it lingers on Yolanda. She's been watching him, waiting for the inevitable. "You're not going to let her get away, are you?" Sierra asks, her voice quiet but sharp. Malik doesn't answer immediately. He's not sure what he's supposed to say. The truth is, he doesn't know what he's feeling anymore. All he knows is that Yolanda is slipping through his fingers, and it's not just about jealousy. It's about realizing that everything he's taken for granted, the power, the control, has been built on a foundation that no longer holds. "I don't know what to do anymore," Malik admits, his voice strained. "She's not the woman I thought she was. She's single quotes, as ... different now. I don't recognize her." Sierra looks at him, her expression one of amusement, mixed with pity. "You never really knew her, Malik, not the way you thought you did. You kept her in a box that you could control, and now she's broken free. You're not the only one who can make an impact. You know." Malik feels the sting of her words, but he doesn't argue. Instead, he turns his attention back to Yolanda. Watching her from a distance, she's no longer looking for his approval. She's living in her own light, creating her own space in the world. And it's a space that no longer includes him. Determined, Malik makes his way toward her, pushing through the crowd. The closer he gets, the more his heart races. He can't let her walk away from him, not without confronting her. He doesn't know how this is going to end, but he has to try. Yolanda is standing by the bar when Malik finally reaches her. She turns to face him as he approaches, her expression calm, unreadable. There's no anger in her eyes, no resentment, just quiet strength. "Malik," she says softly, acknowledging him but not moving any closer. He stands in front of her, his gaze intense. "We need to talk." Yolanda tilts her head slightly, her eyes steady as she looks at him. "About what?" Malik's frustration bubbles to the surface. "About us. About this." He gestures vaguely around them, indicating the entire gala. "You can't just walk in here and take control like this. You're my wife, Yolanda. This isn't your world." Yolanda looks at him, unshaken, but there's a quiet sadness in her eyes. "I never asked for permission to be here, Malik. I never needed your validation. All this time, I've been living in the background, but I'm done with that. I'm done being defined by you." Malik feels a pang in his chest. Her words are like a dagger, but they're the truth. She's no longer the woman he thought he could control. She's become someone he doesn't recognize. And that scares him more than anything. You're wrong, Malik says, his voice strained. You're my wife. You're supposed to stand by me, not ... be me. Yolanda's gaze softens, but her resolve doesn't waver. I'm not you, Malik, and I don't need to be. I've spent so much time supporting you, watching you build your empire, while I stayed in the background, waiting for you to see me. But I've realized something tonight. I don't need you to build my life. I can build my own. Chest tightens. The words sting, but he can't deny their truth. He's always taken Yolanda for granted. He's always believed she was just an accessory in his life, someone who would stand behind him while he chased his dreams. But now, she's chasing her own, and she's not waiting for him to catch up. I never wanted this, Malik says quietly, his voice hoarse. I never wanted to lose you. Yolanda looks at him, her expression calm but resolute. You didn't lose me, Malik. You just stopped seeing me. I've always been here. I just wasn't allowed to be who I am. She pauses for a moment, her gaze softening slightly. Maybe this was never about us. Maybe it was about me. About finding who I am without being defined by you. Malik looks at her, his heart sinking. He wants to say something, anything, to make it right, but he can't. The truth is, Yolanda has already moved on. She's already stepped into the life she was meant to live, and there's nothing he can do to stop it. I guess it's over then, he says quietly, the weight of the words settling. Yolanda looks at him one last time, her expression unreadable. It was over a long time ago, Malik, you just didn't see it. She turns and walks away, leaving him standing there. Alone in the crowd, the gala continues around him, but Malik feels as though he's been cast into a different world. The laughter, the music, the buzz of conversation, all of it feels distant, like an echo from somewhere far away. His eyes linger on Yolanda as she walks away from him, her back straight, her posture firm. She doesn't look back. It hits him with a force he wasn't prepared for. She's gone, not physically, but emotionally. Mentally, she's not the woman who once stood beside him. She's someone else entirely. And that someone no longer needs him. Malik stands there, frozen, the weight of his own actions crashing down on him. He's lost control, lost her. And it's not just because of tonight, it's because of everything that led up to this moment. The years of taking Yolanda for granted, of assuming she would always be the supportive wife in the background, never pushing for more. But tonight, she found her voice, and she's not giving it up. As the night draws to a close, Malik can't shake the feeling that something inside him has broken, irreparably. He tries to move through the crowd, to pretend like everything is fine, but the truth is clear now. The life he's worked so hard to build, the empire of power and influence, none of it matters anymore if he's lost the one person who truly saw him. The one person who truly mattered. Sierra approaches him, her heels clicking sharply on the marble floor. Her presence, once a source of distraction, now feels hollow, like a reminder of everything he's failed to keep. She notices the shift in him immediately. You didn't get her back, she says, her voice matter of fact. Malik looks at her. His expression tight. He's not in the mood for her usual games. Not now. Not when everything is falling apart. She's gone, he says, the words tasting like ash in his mouth. She doesn't need me anymore. Sierra gives him a long, measuring look. Her lips curl into a faint, knowing smile, but it's cold. I tried to warn you. You spent so long thinking you could control everything, everyone. You forgot that people can grow, they can change. Yolanda was never just a prop for your life, Malik. You were just too blind to see it. Malik turns away from her, the sting of her words sharp, but undeniable. He knows she's right. He spent too much time focused on the wrong things, powered the control and, not enough on the woman standing beside him. The woman who, tonight, showed him who she truly was. Yolanda is no longer part of his world. She's carved out her own space, one where he doesn't fit. And Malik realizes, with a cold jolt, that it's his own fault. He's the one who pushed her away. He's the one who couldn't see her for who she really was. As the last of the guests begin to filter out, Malik stands at the edge of the grand hall, watching Yolanda from a distance. She's laughing with Donovan and a few others, her face glowing with confidence, her presence commanding. She doesn't need him anymore. She's already moving forward. Malik feels a deep, gnawing emptiness inside him. He never thought it would end like this. He never thought he'd be the one left behind. But as he watches Yolanda, so effortlessly in control, so comfortable in her own skin, he knows he's lost her, and there's no way to go back. As the last few guests begin to leave, Yolanda heads toward the exit. She passes Malik without looking at him, her steps steady and sure. For the first time, Malik doesn't chase after her. He doesn't try to stop her. He knows it's too late. The damage has already been done. She leaves the building, stepping out into the cool night air. Malik watches her from the doorway, his heart heavy. And just like that, the world he thought he controlled slips away. The night has ended. But for Malik, it feels like the beginning of something much darker. The grand ballroom is empty now, save for a few lingering figures making their way out the door. But Malik remains at the threshold, his thoughts a whirlwind, his body heavy with the weight of realization. He watches the last of the guests leave. But his mind is elsewhere, fixated on the one person who has already walked out of his life. Yolanda. It wasn't just tonight. It was everything that led up to this moment. He had been so focused on his own success, on keeping her in his shadow, that he failed to see what was in front of him. She had always been more than the quiet, supportive wife he kept hidden from the spotlight. But tonight, she stepped into the light, and he was too blind to realize it until it was too late. He thinks back to their conversation, to the calm way she spoke, her words cutting through the tension like a knife. She wasn't angry with him. She wasn't bitter. She was simply letting go. She had grown, while he remained stagnant, clinging to control like a vice around his own heart. And now, she's gone. Malik steps out into the night air, the cool breeze cutting through the warmth of the ballroom. He's alone, standing in the space that once felt like his world, but now feels like a foreign land. He reaches for his phone, his fingers hovering over Yolanda's contact, but he knows there's nothing left to say. She's made her decision, and so has he. The path forward is one that doesn't include each other. Meanwhile, Yolanda walks through the city streets, her heels clicking against the pavement in a steady rhythm. Her head is held high, the weight of the night lifting with each step. For the first time in a long time, she feels free. As the night settles around her, she thinks back to the moment she realized her own worth. It wasn't just about tonight, it was about the years she spent supporting Malik, waiting for him to see her for what she truly was. But she can't wait anymore. She can't keep living in someone else's shadow, even if that someone was the man she loved. Yolanda doesn't feel anger. She doesn't feel regret. She just feels relief. She's finally free, not just from Malik, but from the role she's been forced to play for so long. She is not just Malik's wife, she is Yolanda. She is the woman who chooses herself, the woman who will define her own future. She pauses outside her apartment building and looks up at the windows. There's a new sense of clarity in her eyes now. She can see her future clearly, free from the confines of what was expected of her. She doesn't need Malik to validate her existence. She doesn't need anyone but herself. The next morning, Malik wakes up in an empty house, the silence deafening. The bed feels too big without her in it. He rolls over and reaches for his phone, but there are no messages, no calls. The void in the room mirrors the void in his chest. He sits up slowly, rubbing his face with his hands. The realization hits him like a cold wave. He's lost her, and it's not something he can fix with a few words or a grand gesture. Yolanda has moved on, and no matter what he does, he can't force her to return to a life she no longer wants. He thinks about their years together. The moments that now seem so distant, moments he took for granted, moments he never truly appreciated. Yolanda was never just a figure in his life. She was his partner. She was the strength he overlooked, the the support he dismissed. And now, she's standing on her own, stronger than ever. Malik knows, deep down, that he has no one but himself to blame. He spent so much time focused on power, on control, that he forgot the most important thing: to truly see the person standing beside him. Yolanda, meanwhile, sits in her new office the next day, the space filled with light and possibility. She looks out the window, watching the world below. Her heart steady and sure. She's not angry with Malik. She's not even sad. She's simply moving forward. The future is hers to define now. No longer will she hide behind someone else's dreams. She will build her own, step by step, with purpose and passion. She takes a deep breath, her hand resting on the desk in front of her. This is just the beginning. The beginning of a life she's choosing for herself. And for the first time in years, she feels truly free.